two big cases related to gay marriage. This is the first one, the Defense of Marriage Act. The 5-4 decision from the U.S. Supreme Court striking down a provision of the Defense of Marriage Act. Want to read the decision in full to make sure there aren't any curveballs in here, but this is, of course, one of the two most eagerly awaited decisions from the Supreme Court coming on this final day of the term. We're waiting for this other decision with regard to Proposition 8, the banning of gay marriage in the state of California. These two related cases. This DOMA case, again, want to see the specifics here, but the basic idea was you had a New York woman who challenged the Defense of Marriage Act, specifically the fact that she had married her partner in Canada, and when her partner died, she was hit with she received the estate and hit with a $400,000 federal tax bill. Had she been married, had the government recognized her marriage to her partner at that time, she would not have faced that tax bill. So she challenged the Defense of Marriage Act. At the end, the federal government chose not to challenge her contest of that provision, but House Republicans did, and now we see a 5-4 decision that the Defense of Marriage Act, this particular provision, has been struck down. Again, want to read the details here. There were several subplots to all this. Want to make sure that this is a broad brush striking down of this provision of the Defense of Marriage Act, that there isn't some sort of curveball in here. So I want to reserve and have a chance to look at the opinion in full. But again, this is the first of the two cases, Sarah, and this is obviously a big win for advocates for gay marriage, at least on the surface, based on this first headline.
And yeah, a little more on the court. The court says that marriage law violates equal protection guarantees.
Peter, one question for you. We were showing everybody the reaction outside the Supreme Court, and predictably emotional, triumphant for those who supported this effort to invalidate the Defense of Marriage Act passed originally in 1996. Based on your understanding, and again, we don't want to be too certain yet on what the court has said. I know you're going to read the ruling any minute now, Peter. But if, in fact, the law is totally and utterly struck down, does that suggest that all same-sex couples in the states or countries where they're legally married would now be entitled to federal benefits?
Based on the initial headline, it does appear that that would be the case. Again, a few more details here. The vote was 5-4 with Justice Kennedy siding with the majority. He was the critical swing vote, determined early on to be the likely swing vote in this case. So, again, Eric, I want to have the chance to read the decision more in full, but it does at first blush appear to be a striking down of this particular provision of the Defense of Marriage Act, and this would be a pretty clear-cut victory for advocates for gay marriage, and again, in making those those folks eligible for full federal benefits. That has big implications, of course, for gay marriage across the country, and a significant impact. Of course, it affects those folks who have been allowed to marry in states that allow gay marriage, and that is not something that is across the board in the country. That's why we're so focused on this other decision regarding Proposition 8 in California.
That's what I was just going to ask you about, the Prop 8 ruling not determined yet, and this one could have even greater implications. In other words, it could help determine whether states have the right to declare same-sex marriages or not.
That's right. Whether they have the right to ban same-sex marriages, more specifically, is the question. And so we await that decision. We expect any moment. There is one other case the court has to handle, so we may get that in the interim. But all eyes on the Supreme Court right now, and of course the justices delivering these decisions in the court right now.